Okay, short little interlude about your only job. Your only job is to stay in alignment. So two little pieces of brain candy here. The first one is the mammalian brain. We're going to go back to the mammal brain. Is governed by something called the RAS, the reticular activating system. There's two principles of the brain here. One, it is always seeking to conserve energy. You know, this thing takes up heaps of energy. So the less we can use it, the more efficient we can make it, then the less energy we have to use. So we created this thing called the reticular activating system, which basically scans the environment. And because it's the mammal brain, it's scanning for things that might harm us. Classic analogy is the snake, the stick which looks like a snake. Now I think I've got to come up with a better analogy from the modern world, because who the fuck's ever seen a snake? Like, I mean, I've seen snakes because I've worked in the jungle. When was the last time you saw a snake? Not a hugely useful analogy, but it's still kind of hardwired into our collective conscious, right? We all can imagine that sense of a snake and feel there's like a, good lord, or spiders, you know. It kind of brings up some kind of deep-rooted sense of fear or evil with these creatures. I don't know why, but we can all relate to that, right? And that's, you know, that's kind of a leftover from when we were cavemen, which is carried through in kind of the hard wiring of the brain. So what this means is that we have a scary experience in the past. This is the classic kind of imprinting of trauma. A scary experience in the past, like, you know, I broke up with a blonde man, and therefore the reticular activating system goes, well, blonde men are kind of scary, so I'm going to avoid them, right? And in the future you meet a nice blonde man that you really like, but it's like, I'm not quite sure about him. Or worse, you know, you might extrapolate and go, well, all men can't be trusted, you know, and that's an extrapolation of this original experience, okay? I saw a snake and scared the crap out of me, therefore anything which looks remotely like a snake, I'm going to avoid, and I'm going to have that instant fear response, and suddenly you've dropped out of the transcendent mind and the neocortex and into survival level. Okay, so that's one. The brain, two things. The brain wants to conserve energy, and it does that by creating patterns, neural pathways. And secondly, the mammalian brain tracks for fear, tracks for things which may hurt us. And the third one we can add to that is that in the absence of information, where there's a void, the mind will fill that with fear, okay? Because if I see a whole bunch of grass over there, I don't know what's in the grass, therefore there could be a snake, so I'm going to avoid that grass. If I see a room full of strangers, one of them could be a blonde man, so I'm not going to go into that room full of strangers. And you kind of do this in a split second. And so it often takes, it takes energy as well. It takes energy to kind of shift the mammalian brain out from its state of fear, and bring the neocortex online to where we can create some different scenarios and different solutions, and then kind of in place those neural pathways. Speaking in neural pathways, two things which can change the brain. One is intensity, and the second is repetition. So with some of the practices that I'm going to teach you, they're based around repetition. Okay, it's the micro habits that we do every day on a consistent basis that lay down the pathway and deepen those neural pathways in the brain. Repetition, I mean, intensity is kind of like the Anthony Robbins event, where it's like, rah, I'm gonna walk on fire, this is amazing, and everything gets activated. Or ayahuasca, for example, is like, and then colors and lights and sensations and blah blah blah, and that's awesome, and you should have those experiences as well, because they're enormously useful. And then the work comes in the day-to-day repetition of the lessons and the insights that you get from intense experiences. So, you know, my interest and my focus is, what are the micro things that we can do every day that start laying down the foundation for good habits and kind of an ecology of mind from the base up to the, how do I organize my arm there, from the base, the lizard brain, right up so that we're accessing and stabilizing more time in the transcendent mind, and awesomeness can kind of filter down, and it's got a landing place because I've cleared my thoughts. I'm not in a state of fear, and my body and my autonomic system are just ringing like a bell, and then everything can kind of move forward from there. So, what was I talking about? The reticular activating system, the mind tracks for fear, it wants to conserve energy, and then repetition and intensity are two ways to change the mind, and I'm focusing on repetition. So, the other thing, the law of attraction, right? Abraham Hicks, bless her cotton socks. I want to break down the law of attraction for a moment and give everybody a little bit of a break from this whole law of attraction thing which we're beating each other with. My interpretation of the law of attraction, my understanding of it, is that you are required to focus on what it is that you want, okay? Spend time in that feeling experience and focus on the having. So it's kind of the be, do, have. If I act like a millionaire playboy, for example, compassionate millionaire playboy, then I will do the things that such a person will have. I will do the things that such a person will do, and then from making those decisions, I will have the kind of things that that person has. So, you know, if I am starting a business, or I'm building a business, or I want to have a beautiful relationship, I act like someone who would do the things that would engender a beautiful relationship, or who would act like they're capable of running an amazing company. And then the decisions which flow from that state are going to help me move towards having that thing. Whereas if I'm moving from a state of fear, of like safety, survival, I can't spend any money on my business because I don't have any money to start off with, or, you know, I'm with this man but he's got blonde hair and it's just never going to work out, and so you start tracking for all the reasons why this relationship or this business won't work. You will find them, and then you'll act on them, and then guess what? The relationship or the business won't work. The challenge with the law of attraction, the challenge with staying in that state of being like the person you want to be, is that the mind is not made up. It's not hardwired to be that way. The reason we're alive as a species is because we track for the things that will harm us, even if they're kind of not there. And so what we've done is we've taken this caveman mind full of natural disasters and predators and a very stressful environment, and we've planted it into the modern day where we have every single survival need covered, but it's still operating and it's still finding things to keep us in a state of fear. And the positive intention of that is keeps us alive, right? We want to have fear. We want to be careful when we're walking the street so a car doesn't run over us. We want to be careful when we meet a stranger because they could hurt us. We do want to be vigilant. This is a good thing. Really, really, fear is awesome. It's the reason you're alive today, right? What you don't want to do is have it govern all of your decisions. We want to be in, and we're making a lot of decisions every day in our businesses or in our personal lives, and we want those to come from a state of, you know, something informed by the transcendent mind, something informed by a state of joy. So that is our challenge. That's what this whole, the whole set of exercises I want to teach is going to be about. So I've completely lost what I'm talking about, but we'll make it up. Let me pause there and I'll be back to you in a moment.